Welcome. Thanks for joining us, everyone. I am Melissa. I'll be your host for today with these two guys here, Aaron and Rick Lambert. Welcome. Why don't we dive in? Welcome, Rick. Welcome, Aaron.
All right, good job, Melissa. As usual, our hostess with the mostest there. You do a great job of these for us and our customers. Thank you so much. Hey,
Thank
if you're
you.
joining today, we looked at the profiles of all the people coming in today, and a lot of you are, we'll call you managed service providers, MSPs. We've got some IT VARs on. We've got our traditional client base of copier people that are moving over into IT services and cybersecurity. So I think you're in the great spot today. We've got a lot of websites in motion right now, so it sounds like a lot of people are thinking about websites. So hopefully today's webinar leaves you thinking about, hey, are you in a good position now, and or what might you want to think about for the year ahead? I just want to introduce you to our customer-facing team here. One of our taglines is, you manage your business, let us manage your marketing. And if you're in IT services or cybersecurity, you know the complexity and the moving ball you have to keep up with. And the same applies here when it comes to marketing. So we've got really qualified people. I'm so proud of our team. And when we go through today, I think you'll see there's a lot of components that may be beyond potentially the in-house talent that you have. And that's why people outsource their marketing to companies like us. So thanks again for joining us. Melissa, if you want to go ahead there. For those that don't know kind of what we do in short, these are dealer or MSP challenges that we solve. So we work with companies to help them with recruiting, right? The talent war is very prevalent right now, whether it's sales, service, admin, etc. Lead generation, which is our topic today, we're going to focus on how to convert website visitors into IT or cybersecurity leads. Of course, new hire coaching, getting people up to speed, and how do they sell IT services, especially younger salespeople, and that's a whole other webinar. And then cross-selling, of course. A lot of you that come from traditional line of business and you're trying to sell adjacent services like IT, cyber, document management, you name it. Those are the core areas that we focus on. So as we go in today, Aaron, you had some great stats here I thought we'd kick off with.
Yeah, no, thanks a lot, Rick. And I totally agree with you. I mean, more and more we're hearing people coming to us or in the industry that are looking to rebuild their website or improve their website. I think it's important that we think about how people are engaging websites today. So I just wanted to call out a couple of statistics on the screen. And the first one I want to draw your attention to is 90% of MSP prospects will not fill out a generic contact us form. I think that's important because a lot of websites we see today have, if you have a question, fill out the form. I mean, I know I'm not, super keen on just filling out random forms on websites. So we want to make sure that the call to actions on websites today are compelling. They offer something back to the person giving that information. And I think the other thing is 68% of B2B customers prefer to research independently online without ever talking to a sales rep. And I know throughout the webinar, Rick, we're going to talk about ICP and the way people buy and how all these things have changed. But we want to make sure that the content, the way that the website's structured, is really educating the folks along the way as they start to compare cybersecurity and IT services against different organizations as they start to make their buying decision.
And what about, you had another good stat there, Aaron, the 62% of the IT buyers. I thought that was a good one too.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think it just speaks to the point that your website is becoming your primary source of research for your consumer. And that has to answer the questions that they're asking, but at the basic level and at the more complex level. And in the marketing world today, we have to think of creative ways in order to get that message across in an educational way and allow people to then make their decision on when they want to start to engage.
And, I pushed that stat because I thought it was a good one you had, Aaron. I think a lot of people, speaking openly, they're sitting on a website that might be 5 years old, might be 7 years old. And, I would say if you haven't had your website kind of tuned up or redone or overhauled within the last 18 months, maybe 24 months, there's a lot of new technology and trends that we'll talk about today, because the website is the hub of everything you do, we believe anyway, when it comes to marketing. So great stats there. Thanks for that. So Melissa, if you want to click here, we got a poll coming up. We thought we'd poke some people here. So go ahead with your poll.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, our poll. How confident are you that your website is converting visitors into qualified sales leads for IT services and cybersecurity? You're not confident, you're somewhat confident, or you're confident. Karen, Rick, where do you think they're going to land on this one?
I think we're going to come back in the middle, right? Somewhat confident with areas of improvement.
Okay. I have the benefit of seeing this. Rick, what do you think?
I'm just looking at the photo on the slide there of the person that often we speak to that's like,
Skeptical?
prove, I'm skeptical. Prove to me that there's a better way. So if that's you, you're in the right spot there.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you, Aaron, you were wrong.
Oh,
I,
nice.
I think our audience is overconfident, probably. Okay, cool.
57% not confident. So is this surprising, Aaron, or what do you think?
No, not surprising. I think it's something that people wrestle with. I think to Rick's point, if you haven't updated your website in a period of time, I mean, I often tell people go back and look at your phone from 5 years ago, right?
Yeah,
It's a lot different, right, than it is
yeah,
today. And I mean, you can think of your website in that sort of vein as well. People have changed, and I think we'll get into it here, Rick. But we talk about the way that people have changed the way they buy. We have to
yeah,
change the way that we interact with those people.
100%.
And
And
as we
so
create,
sorry,
yeah.
go ahead,
No,
Rick.
I was just going to say, as we've created hundreds of websites, okay, for
Mhm.
MSPs and of course, copier dealers and whatnot. The way the technology has changed just in the last 12 months with the advent of AI and search we'll get into today,
Mhm.
it really is important to know what is out there and why others are mounting a horse right now heading into 2026.
Yeah, right. Okay, so you may be wondering where we're going. So to your point, Aaron, things have changed. So we're going to talk about that. Search has changed and what website must-haves. You guys are going to go through that. How to convert visitors to leads. I don't know if anyone on here is interested in that. Maybe that should be up at the top. And then I'll round it out after your great insights today with some key takeaways. So why don't we get started, Rick? I'll turn it over to you.
All right, just one thing before we get into visitors have changed.
Yeah.
86% of people in that poll said they were somewhat or not satisfied with lead generation. So we're going to give you a great segment at the end here, walking through conversion techniques that Aaron just spoke at CDA meetings about, great feedback. And some of these things you may have in play, but it's in concert, all of these things that seem to be driving the opportunities for our customers. Sorry, the first one there I had was, visitors have changed. Now, I've got two children, they're Gen Z, and I can tell you they think differently than I do. And the purpose of this slide is really just to show you that the people that are looking for what you sell may not look and search the way you do. And when my children look at a web page or they look at something on their mobile device, often, they don't want heavy content. They're looking to get cut to the chase quickly. They want it short and simple. And I just think as you look at your website in reflection, as we go through today, is it old school brochure-ish heavy content? Or can someone quickly come in, understand what you do, why they should engage with you, and then move forward? So I'm just saying your visitor has changed. Think about it. There's an old stat, right? 41% of millennials prefer digital communication over talking to a human. So this is why your website has to speak on your behalf. Now, as we go forward here, my point is keep it short, stupid, and not just on your website, but also when you think about, we're going to show you here a mobile and how much traffic's now coming to mobile devices. Now, when we started Into Communications about 18 years ago, I can tell you the mobile traffic to a B2B site, a business site, was in the single digits, maybe 10%. And what's happened now, based on what we believe, is obviously the adoption and explosive growth of mobile, but also the users. We're seeing dramatically more visitors come from mobile devices. And we can see all this analytics across a portfolio of our sites. And so often people don't look at their site through a mobile device and see how the experience maybe could be improved. But just be cautious what you look like on mobile there. Of course, desktop's still number one overall, and not a whole bunch of people late at night or after hours looking on iPads. But mobile is a big track into your website. So we're saying, hey, think mobile. Now, for those of us on here that grew up in the copier business, I just wanted to give you a little shot in the shoulder here and say, okay, be honest. Like when we look at your website, if you're a visitor, what is the first impression? So if I see 3 sliders of a 40, 60, and 80 page a minute machine rolling across the slider, or if you're talking all about your copier service strengths, do you look like a copier dealer? Or if I go to your site, is the impression I get the very first impression, which dictates whether or not that visitor is going to bounce or go deeper into the site? Do you really look like an IT services or cybersecurity provider? Just a thought there in terms of how you look. So my point is, look the
Look the
part.
part.
Make sure you look the part. Okay, now when we go to search here, I ask people in meetings periodically, like, are you still using Google to search, or are you using AI? What do you use? And it's funny how some people have gone 100% to AI and left Google altogether because the outputs line up, in my opinion, often more the way a human would want to see them done, where Google's a little more transactional. Not to say one's worse or better, but we thought we'd invite a little all-star on our team here, Taylor Hamilton, to talk about how search has changed. So this is a brand new video put together for today. So Melissa, why don't you let
Mhm.
Taylor explain how search has changed with our SEO news?
Perfect.
We've all seen the headlines. SEO is dead. Google doesn't matter anymore. But here's the reality. SEO isn't dead, it's evolving. According to HubSpot, over 60% of searches end without anyone clicking on any results. People are getting their answers right away without having to click onto any website through snippets, local results, and AI overviews. So the question really isn't about whether SEO is dead, it's about how you change. First, you need to optimize for zero-click searches by using targeted featured snippets, having FAQs on your website, and participating in knowledge panels like Reddit and Quora. This way, your brand shows up even if users aren't clicking on any results. The second is to double down on local SEO. With so many people using near me searches, ranking in Google Maps and having local SEO specific pages on your website is essential. Third, it's important to expand beyond Google. With so many people searching on YouTube, LinkedIn, and other social media channels, as well as AI tools like ChatGPT, you need to meet your audience where they're searching. The last thing you need to do is focus on your brand. If people know your name, they're more likely to trust you and click through no matter where you are. SEO isn't dead, it's just changing, and the brands that adapt will be the ones that win.
Hey,
Great job.
awesome. Great job, Taylor. One of our superstars on our team there. Thanks for putting that together. If you were wondering what the heck Taylor was talking about, this is why we think you need to consider potentially a third-party expert. The same way as you go to your customers and they look to you as an expert to understand the complexity of IT services or cyber, we've got those people on our team should you need them. Anyway, Aaron, I know you got a lot of experience in this area in terms of search and ICPs. Let's get into that.
Yeah, I know. I think just to kind of dovetail off what Taylor was saying, right? Keywords to questions. Years ago, buyers typed in short keywords and people put keywords into their website, but now we're asking full questions. We're asking full questions in AI. We're asking full questions in Google. So your site has to be structured in a way around the way the buyers intend, FAQs, blogs, explainer content that really, addresses those questions in a simplistic way. And I think the rise of AI or answer engine optimization is really interesting too, because Google's AI overview and ChatGPT are all about delivering answers to those questions. So the websites need to have a clear structure, content, so that the AI tools can pull those things up so that you can drive leads and opportunities from that content through ChatGPT as an example. Proof-driven discovery, I think, is really important too. People want to know that other people like your cybersecurity or IT services business. They want to see peer evaluations. They want to see what other people are saying about that. So having case studies and other client logos and certifications builds trust in the content on your website. And then just in the content to kind of conversion integration, right? Pair educational content with different kinds of calls to actions, interactive tools, and we'll show you an interactive tool here in a little bit, ROI calculators, but making sure that when they get to their site, they stay on your site and they interact with the content to get the answers to the questions that they're looking for. And I think that also kind of dovetails into who is it you're selling to, right? And this is often forgotten on your ideal customer profile. I know we're trying to sell to everyone, right? We want all the business we can possibly get, but it's really an important exercise to sit down and say, who is the ideal client that I want to focus on for my IT or security business, so that I can deliver the best service, right? What fits my service profile, my service delivery? How big are these organizations? Who are the people I'm trying to target? What will I do? What won't I do? Because that's going to help us target the content on your website and be able to tailor the messaging to make sure that when we are setting ourselves up for search and the content on the website, we're addressing the ICP or the ideal client profile that you're trying to sell to. So in conclusion, kind of must-haves, value and clarity. I always tell people with clarity comes clarity creates confidence, right? So make sure what it is you have, it's clear, it's valuable, it's fast, it's skimmable. Rick mentioned that off the top. Mobile friendly, modern design. No one wants to see something that came from an OEM or some sort of blog content that's across all different websites. It has to be uniquely yours. Social proof. People want to hear from people like you that have had a great experience. Make it frictionless, easy to get to the answers, easy to find the information, right? And we often hear the word thought leadership thrown around a lot in this industry, but if we know who it is that we're trying to sell to, we can tailor the content and the information, the questions to the people through an educational way to help them make a better decision.
Great.
So I think we're gonna, Aaron, your comment there. What's funny is it surprises me when I ask customers, have you ever searched for what you offer in your market through an AI search engine? I think a lot of them are using it, but they haven't kind of taken the visitor path to a site. And, this is what we're kind of challenging you to think about. Who's coming to your site? When they get there, do you look like you want to appear? Or are you overwhelming them because you got all this luggage and stuff that you used to sell and the new stuff you sell? And oh, by the way, our topic today, how are we going to convert a visitor into an IT services or cybersecurity lead? So let's give you some specific examples. And we're going to move quick on these, okay? But you'll be able to check off, got it, need it, okay? Let's go to the first one here, Melissa.
Yeah.
So the first one we've got is a video strategy. Now, you already know video, number one by far preferred medium of consumption on web, on mobile, etc. And so as you look at your website, have you got video content on there that's, like Aaron said, answering questions in an educational way, not showing a stinking promo on the latest product that's got the speeds and feeds and all that kind of jazz. Those are good, but they may be a little deeper down the buy cycle. And if you got enough educational video, short, by the way, I would highly suggest. Now, Melissa, let's get a couple of examples here. So here's a list that we would, if you engaged us, we'd say, hey, here's some videos that you should have ideally on your site. Testimonials, number one, 2, service explainer videos. So what is cybersecurity? What is threat detection? What is desktop help desk support look like? Like if you sat down in a meeting and wrote down all the questions your customers had and cranked out videos to those, you would have an amazing portfolio. Number 3, before and after case studies. If you zip down through number 7 there, we talked about recruiting before. Now we're talking about websites that sell IT and cyber, but sometimes you need to sell a recruit on joining your company. And so these are really popular as well. Behind the scenes showing maybe it's your SOC or your NOC or whatever you've got going there. And of course, community there at the bottom, just to show a customer that when they invest in you, maybe some of that money stays in the community. Anyway, a really good list there. There's more. And what we do see as dealers, we're showing an example here that do such an awesome job on YouTube. And you remember, YouTube is the number 2 search engine behind Google and or AI, we'll call it. So if you don't have a presence there, we do see this as an extension or complement to your site. Now, here's a couple examples. On the left there, you'll see one of our awesome clients at Sentry works there. Colby
And Rick, let me add in here, she's actually on the call today. So hi, Colby.
Oh, is she? Okay. Great to see you, Colby. We just wanted to highlight some of the great stuff you're doing. Exactly, we just talked about answering questions on video. And not only does that stop the scroll, we believe, but it also positions you as an authority, thought leader, etc., and puts a face to the business. Now on the right side there, a lot of you have, we'll call it conversion pages on your website where maybe you're offering something, book a meeting, book an assessment, whatever it is. And in many cases, we don't think that the forms give enough explanation as to why someone should surrender their information. And we really liked here on this page we're showing on the right where there's a video of someone at the company actually explaining what's going to happen when you do convert. Great spot for a video.
Yeah, and I think when we think video and we think, answering those questions, then we get to providing social proof, right? We talked a little bit about this. When we say social proof, which I guess is a bit of a marketing term, is if people have nice things to say about you, you should share those things. And the dealers and the people that we're working with, Rick and Melissa, most of them have amazing feedback on their Google reviews, right? 4 or 5 stars. People have great experiences. Some people respond to the questions, some people don't. I think that's a pro tip there. If you have someone that says something nice, you should say something back. And if you have someone that's challenging, you should acknowledge it, right? People want to see that you're engaging. But a lot of the times the Google reviews, the good positive feedback lives kind of hidden on a website or hidden on a back page or a contact us page or what have you. It's great now to take that social proof. And if you're selling cybersecurity to a certain hospital or healthcare facility, if someone has great things to say, let's put that right on the website. I know it seems kind of like a no-brainer, but if you have a vertical landing page, let's put some social proof on there that people enjoy the products and services that you're offering out to the marketplace. Because as someone doing their research, deciding when to engage you, they want to know, are people enjoying that experience? And then just to the right of that, you see a case study that we put together for a company called WCC. That's another great way to just expand that and tell another story. So think about your IT services page, something you've done, and a great case study that you can put that can support the service that you're selling. And we do it, practice what you preach, right? I think we talk about it internally all the time. Like if we're telling people that this is what works, we should be doing the same thing. We're doing it on the Into communication side and also on the sell to win side, where you'll see a lot of different videos, video feedback from clients that have been through the different programs and services that we have to offer. So that helps people make their buying decision.
Absolutely.
Sorry,
sorry, Aaron, I was going to say, sorry, I know this is your section here we're doing. If you think about proposals, okay, because there's a few sales heads on the call today, are you parking your proof of capability at the back of your proposal? So often we see that, where I would argue that should be right up front in your proposal. Same on your website, like show them you're capable of what you're doing. Sorry, buddy.
No, you're good. No, I think you should take the next slide because it was your idea. And I think that a lot of people forget that referrals are great ways. We all listen, if you have a great client, your great client has 5 best friends, and we should ask them who their 5 best friends are. And I think we often forget to do that. And I think also, no matter what it is that we're selling, people always want a deal, right? Can I get better terms? Can I get a longer term? Can I get a cheaper price? Use the referral as a negotiating tactic. Sure, I can accommodate you in 1 or 2 of the different things as long as you introduce me to your 5 best friends. It sounds simple, but people often forget that. I know it's part of the website. It's part of the whole engagement piece of how you're going to drive leads, leverage your website in cybersecurity and IT.
They won't do it, Aaron. Been telling people for 26 years. They will not say, "Oh, you want it quicker? If I get the deal, will you do it?" Yeah. Instead of, "Hey, if I could do that for you, how'd you feel about giving me a 5-star Google review? Would that be okay in exchange for that?" Okay,
This
let's
is a
go.
whole other event.
Yeah, next one we got here. Okay, gated content on your website. So I call them mousetraps. Okay, so as you get in here, Melissa, the point to this here is: have you got conversion points on your site where someone would say, "Hey, it's worth me surrendering my contact info to get in exchange what you've got." Now, there is a movement now saying, "Hey, I could go to AI and get the 7 methods to do this or that." But I can tell you, as recently as yesterday, not but 18 hours ago, for a brand new website we just put up, we had a controller of a large organization convert on an ebook. And I don't know a better way to show that you got a fish on the line than having some conversion stuff on your site. So we're showing here the list: ebooks, guides, white papers, webinars we'll get into, self-eval. We've got some of those little widgets that are very successful for our customers, calculators that may show whether it's a financial gain, productivity gain, etc. And we don't have time to show you all these things today, but in our showroom, these are the things we're showing our clients, including a virtual tour. Now, coming off this here, you're going to get an email with a link to our virtual tour. We just revamped it for 2026. It's got AI avatars in there talking to you and everything. Very excited about this as a way to engage someone and get them to surrender their contact info as a sales lead. And of course, our traditional methodology of ebooks. And you can see here, the row across the top speak to kind of manage data security, manage print, are the hot topics for a lot of our customers. And we would say the white covered ones appeal more to someone who's at the top end of the funnel. They're just becoming aware of, maybe do they need this service? They're maybe interested. And then when someone actually says, "You know what, we do need to take action on this," then we've got a whole other rung of ebooks there that face up to those services that we're talking about today. But if you don't have these types of assets on your site, are you really putting yourself in a position to create a lead out of a visitor for IT or cyber or whatever?
All right. what we're doing today, Aaron.
What we're doing today, and I'll move through this a little bit. I know we're running out of time here, but hosting webinars. In a presentation I gave to a large group of CDA members, we talked a lot about webinars and promoting webinars off the website. The challenge is that yes, you can get a guest speaker to come in and do a webinar, but there's a lot that goes into making sure a webinar is impactful. And most effective marketing channel for B2B lead generation in 2024, 2025 and beyond are webinars in conjunction with everything you're doing on your website. So we talked a lot about, it's not just about inviting Rick to do a webinar for your business, it's about setting a plan in motion that connects with that ICP to communicate a message to people that they want to learn. So Melissa, if you go to the next slide, you'll see here that when you put together a webinar, it's about, AI meets cybersecurity. It's about the way that we present it, how we connect with the audience, and the content that we deliver. But what I find unique about webinars outside of contact us forums, and Rick mentioned widgets and different things like that, is you get qualified leads, people that listened to you, met you, heard you, and now want to learn more about the things that you have to offer. And I think that that's really unique. And we get a lot of registrants in webinars. We get less attendees, but you can see the ratio there: 197 registrants, 70 people show up, and 27 people want to have another conversation. Now, if you go to the next slide, Melissa, kind of a timeline or a bit of a visual that just kind of shows that you can't just throw out a flag and say, hey, I'm doing a webinar, right? We have to build the strategy. We have to promote the event. We create this online registration, and then we deliver the webinar. We record it and we use it for marketing down the road. And this is a great way to do that thought leadership way of sharing information, connecting with your ICP, using it as a tool for downloading content. Maybe someone downloads the webinar, it's gated to grab additional information. So really think about webinars as a value to thread through your website strategy, making sure you're using that from a lead generation standpoint.
And can I make a suggestion? Don't start your webinar with, "Are we on? Can you see me?"
Yeah, exactly.
I've had more complaints from people about, "Am I on?" Oh, anyway. Okay, chatbots. If you don't have one on your site, think about it. General suggestion here. Melissa's going to show here. Here's one we got on Modern Office Methods. We actually got one on our Into site. We put another one on a site last week. And in short, what if someone hits your site after hours? Is there some way to interact with you? And these new AI bots are just performing phenomenally. Next slide there, Melissa, we're showing a quick stat here. Like one client, 7.4% of the interactions with the bot were actually sales leads. Do you guys sell this? Can I trade this in, etc.? So bots becoming very popular.
Yeah, Rick, you mentioned widgets earlier when you're kind of going through that call to action. So we've built a virtual tour. As you mentioned, everyone on the call is going to get access to that virtual tour. Melissa, if you go to the next slide. All this really is a self-guided tour to allow people to put in their information and answer their questions on their own time. The good news for you having this on your site is you're going to collect information voluntarily, and it's going to give you a more meaningful conversation with the person that's looking to engage in your business. So it takes the kind of cold out of just fill out this form to, hey, I'm going to offer you value, take your time, go through it. And you guys get a sense of what this looks like here after the call. We'll send you a link to it.
Yeah, 41% of millennials don't want to talk to somebody. That's why we're doing these things. Automation. If you go to the next slide there, Melissa, these are the tools that we had a slide in. There's different tools out there. We use probably 30 tools, which is AI, automation built in, etc. HubSpot's obviously a popular one. We did a webinar recently, Melissa and Heidi, on this, but at some point, the manual has to hand the keys over to automation, and this is something that we think you need to think about because so much is possible right now with HubSpot and so many other technologies.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you, Rick. Thank you, Aaron, for your insights today. Just a few key takeaways before we end the program today. Your ICP has changed. Search has changed. And believe it or not, your website can help you sell and will help you sell. And that QR code you see up there on the top right of your screen, if you scan that, you can get our free lead generation playbook. You can download that. But like Rick said earlier as well, we're going to send an email out after. We'll include that. We'll also get you the virtual tour, the link to that. So thank you again. We really appreciate it. Again, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Taylor, who's I know watching, but thank you for your news. And have a great day, everyone. We really appreciate your time. And by the way, I'm just going to mention there were some great questions. However, we're at 1:31, so we don't want to keep you, or we're after time anyway, but we'll follow up with you on those questions. Again, thank you. Have a great day.
Great job, Melissa. Thanks for showing up, people.
Thanks, Melissa.
Thank you, everyone.